Greetings, Zimbabwe. Welcome to the program Power Talk with me, your host, Sean Moyo, 263 times. Today we host a very familiar face to most of you, Honorable Tendai Biti, the current Member of Parliament for Harare East, as well as the current interim Vice President of the Triple C. Honorable Biti, welcome.
Good afternoon, Sean. Good afternoon to the viewers and listeners.
Perfect. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak with you. Right, jumping straight into it, Honorable, the economy at the moment, as we look at it, the wheels are off. What should be done?
Well, I think the main thing that needs to be done is for political change. We need a new leadership. This war crisis is a crisis of leadership.
Right.
This war crisis is a manifestation of the failure of leadership. So we have to resolve the political question first. Thankfully and gratefully, there is an election that's forthcoming, and we therefore hope that Zimbabweans will do the right thing and vote wisely, because only Nelson Chamisa can clear this mess. But as far as economics is concerned, it's so critical that the government fully dollarize, fully dollarize. Yeah. The US dollar, the de-dollarization experiment has failed in absolute terms. So it's important that we dollarize, that civil servants are paid in US dollars, that services are levied in US dollars, because we need the local currency for change. It's so important that we abolish the auction system and we float the Zimbabwean dollar so that it finds its natural balance. Right. It's so important that we live within our means. What I used to call we eat what we kill, and that we have a fiscal consolidation, i.e., we budget, we balance our books. This business of borrowing money, this business of overspending is what is creating the inflation spiral. The economy is overheated. Too much money is facing too few goods. So we've got a crisis of overaccumulation. Just like in 2008, we are all now millionaires, but $1 million is now 300 US dollars, 200 US dollars. The third thing that needs to happen is that we need to deal with the corruption. Right. We have essentially become a kleptocracy. Right. We've essentially become a kakistocracy. So the scandals are just too many. Just think of the US $89 million medical fraud involving the company known as Drugs. Right. Just think of the purchase of the fire tenders. Just think of the recent purchase of 32 helicopters that has cost US $320 million when our drugs are not there in hospitals. Right. Just think of Command Agriculture. 2.7 billion US dollars was lost in 2017. 3.5 billion US dollars was lost in 2018. 6.6 billion US dollars was lost in 2019. And more than 10 billion US dollars was lost the following year in 2021. There are two financial adjustment bills that are waiting parliamentary approval. One is for 10.6 billion US dollars spent with outside parliamentary approval between 2016 and 2018, and the other one for $106 billion for 2020. All this is money that is just flowing and hemorrhaging. So we have to deal with corruption. And of course, on the economy, we have to deal with the decayed infrastructure. Look at the state of our roads, look at the state of our dams, look at the state of our railway. It's a collapsed country. It's a failed state.
So in terms of competence, Honorable Biti, what guarantee do Zimbabweans have that a Triple C-led government would be competent more than what the current government is? What guarantee do we have that the Triple C government won't just be all talk like what we currently see?
The Triple C has got a track record. President Chamisa was in a government. He liberalized the access of mobile phone instruments and data. Now everyone has got 4-5 mobile phones. The base stations everywhere. The penetration of ICTs in our country is now over 97%, and thanks to Advocate Chamisa. What we did on the economy also speaks for itself.
Right.
In 2011, for instance, the growth rate was 17.9%, the highest in the world. We averaged the average growth rate of 12% during that time. People know it. People know it for it. They used to sing Dora for two, Yakaoyana Changirai.
Right.
They remember that. They know that.
Right.
But I think the most important thing we didn't do was we didn't steal.
Right.
So people trust us. People have got confidence in Advocate Nelson Chamisa.
If I may interject, Advocate Biti, there is talk recently. George Charamba, the president's spokesperson, seems to rebuff this whole notion that Advocate Chamisa is the one who liberalized the ICT sector. He says it was an ongoing government program, and he just presided basically over something that was already planned and being rolled out.
That's clearly not true. This liberalization was done during the GNU, and the person who was in charge was Advocate Nelson Chamisa. That's so obvious. Before the GNU, a SIM card used to cost $30, and you wouldn't get it. During the GNU, you know, SIM cards are everywhere, like water, like air. So the facts speak for themselves. It's what we call in legal terms res ipsa loquitur. The facts speak for themselves.
Right. Again, I go back to the issue of competence in managing the economy, Advocate. Looking at the management of our local authorities by the opposition from the year 2000, basically your party, regardless of the changes here and there of the party names and so forth, basically the opposition is run the urban local authorities. But some of the opinion that the opposition isn't really acquitted itself well in that regard. So looking at how you have performed in that regard, do you think it gives us confidence as Zimbabweans that your government will be able to run the economy?
Look, whilst nominally councillors have been elected, which have come from the opposition, that is correct. But the fact of the matter is that central government has suffocated local authorities. You've got Section 314 of the Urban Councils Act, where the Minister of Local Government is allowed to issue any directive on any matter to a local authority. And July Moyo has abused that. Chombo has abused that. Only recently, the city of Harare rejected an extortionate contract for the Harare Pomona dump site.
Right.
July Moyo wrote reversing that. Not only that, local authorities can't even employ their own staff. A statutory creature called the local government board must approve the employment of senior staff. Number three, local authorities can't do their own procurement. They need the permission of government. They need the permission of the state procurement board. Local authorities can't even budget. They need the approval of the Minister of Local Government. A local authority budget must be approved by the minister responsible for local authority. They can't even borrow to attend to capital projects. It requires the permission of the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Local Government.
Right.
So legally, there is total emasculation of local authorities, which is inconsistent with Chapter 14 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Because Chapter 14 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe says local authorities, provincial authorities, must be run by those that are elected.
Right.
But as I've just illustrated, the local authorities are not run by those that are elected. Local authorities are run by central government. And local authorities are seen as an extension, a department in the Ministry of Local Government. So harmonize the Urban Councils Act, harmonize the Rural District Councils Act with the Constitution, which gives autonomy to local authorities. Then you can see the excellency of people from the Triple C, people from the opposition. We have been put nominally in those positions, but are unable to do their work because of the suffocation, legal and otherwise, that is imposed by Gananda Zuningana July Moyo.
Right. With that in mind, why then does the Triple C or the opposition always contest for these elections if there is no much room to maneuver. You know very well the outcome, you know very well the suffocation. So why then do you even expend your time in contesting for those?
We believe in democracy. The Constitution in Section 67 gives the right of every Zimbabwean to participate in politics, to vote, to freely associate with those that he or she agrees with. So we are exercising our constitutional right to freedom of political choice. But more than that, we don't take lightly this right to vote. Thousands died for this right to vote. Some are in Nyadzonyi, some are in Chimoyo. They died for one man, one vote, one woman, one vote. That's why we will never boycott an election, even though we know the constraints. And our hope is that once we have a new government, then we can attend to a brand new constitution, brand new harmonization of the laws, so that people can be free, people can exercise free choice. The problem with Zimbabwe is that the citizen can't choose, and you have this hegemonic, authoritarian, ubiquitous sobriquet called central government that follows you in your kitchen, in your bedroom, in your workstation, suffocating you, preventing you from reproducing yourself freely. That's why our key buzzwords are transformation, transformation. Our key buzzwords are freedom, freedom. Our key buzzwords are opportunity, opportunity. Those are the three things that are missing in Zimbabwe: transformation, freedom, and opportunity.
Right. Going back to the economy again, Advocate. What is the CCC's fundamental ideology or fundamental standpoint with the economy, with regards to the economy? You remember ZANU-PF used to have land reform where they basically based the economic blueprint on everyone owning land. So what's the CCC's fundamental economic policy?
I can't, I have no authority to disclose to you the thing, because President Chamisa will launch soon a new Great Zimbabwe blueprint. So I can't preempt that. Okay. I'm not the leader, but what I can tell you is that our agenda is that citizens must take charge. Our agenda is that there must be transformation. Our agenda is that there must be modernization of this country. Our agenda is that there must be restoration. Our agenda is that there must be restoration. There must be upliftment, a new Great Zimbabwe. So in a nutshell, that's all I'm prepared to say. But some of the things, you know them. You know what we're going to do on the economy. You know what we are going to do on transitional issues. But I can't go into the detail. That just wait for President Chamisa.
Right. So in terms of election preparedness, we have slightly over 2 months to go to the elections. Is the CCC ready in terms of the elections?
Yeah, we're ready like yesterday. We're ready like yesterday. But as you know, Parliament is sitting. We're pushing for some reforms. The bill is going back to Parliament on the 30th of May 2023. But the people are ready. The people want change. The people are tired of prices. The people are tired of potholes. The people are tired of having no electricity. The people are tired of a GMP that doesn't pay them prices for their maize, for their cotton. So the people of Zimbabwe want change.
So speaking on the electoral reform bill that you referred to, what's the chance that ZANU-PF will allow reforms that could possibly threaten its hold on power? They've said it before, they won't reform themselves out of power. So what's the chance that they will accept drastic reforms in that regard?
I think that we must trust Parliament. And I think that we must accept that Minister Ziyambi is genuine and bona fide. Let's see what will happen. If you follow Hansard, if you follow what we've been doing in Parliament, you would have known that it's give and take. It's in give and take. So there are some issues which we are losing and which we will lose. But there are some issues which we have benefited, which we have gotten. So it's a give and take.
Right. And
that's how normal societies function. Right. They function on bargaining. They function on bargaining. So in Parliament we are bargaining.
Right.
So we've won some issues. We've lost some issues. So let's exhaust this process.
Right. And in terms of the economy again, you spoke of full dollarization with the floating of the current Zimbabwean currency. Say the government tomorrow wakes up and dollarizes the economy, does that solve the economic problems? Does that mean
their biggest problem is that, number one, nobody trusts them, and the currency is 60% of the issue. That is why in 2014 the economy drastically dipped, yet all the conditions that existed in 2012 were there in 2014. It was a trust issue. Secondly, this lot can't live within their means. They spend. Thirdly, corruption. And those are the three key distinctive factors: trust, the failure to live within their means, and the tentacles of corruption.
Right. And given the background that this current government came through basically by and large of a military coup, what are the chances that if a CCC victory happens, they will accept the result?
It's a victory by the people. It's a victory, so the people can't prevent their choice or desire. The people and the citizen will always triumph. There's no question about it. I'm not a spokesperson of the army or of the police or the intelligence, but I can assure you that those are constitutional bodies that will follow the constitution, despite attempts to politicize them, despite attempts to weaponize them. Section 208 of the Zimbabwean constitution is very clear. The security forces are bound by the rule of law. They follow parliament. They salute the elected head of state. They salute and subordinate themselves to the elected civilian, polity. The gun follows the rule of law.
Right. And if I may refer to Honorable Scala, who is currently imprisoned at Chikurubi, there was a suggestion by Professor Maduku a while ago that perhaps the CCC should have negotiated with the ruling ZANU-PF for his release and for possibly rapport between the two parties, because they seem to be extremely polarized at the moment. What's your take on his suggestion that you should have negotiated with the ruling party?
Yeah, but it's a legal issue, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a legal issue. So his lawyers are handling the matter. It's a very competent team of lawyers consisting of Beatrice Mtetwa, Harrison Ngomo, and Jeremiah Bamu. So let's trust that process. On the issue of general dialogue, no one questions the correctness of general dialogue to discuss everything, including the ongoing prosecutions, including the issue of electoral reforms, legal reforms, constitutional reforms. So no one can deny the correctness of dialogue, but no one should also politicize. Let's follow the due process. There's no reason why Job Scala is being prosecuted. There's no reason why the law should be weaponized. There's no reason why Jacob Ngari should be serving for 4 years. But let's give the lawyers the benefit of the doubt.
Right. And I refer back to the issue of government interfering with your officials from the local authorities. You have complained bitterly about that as the opposition. Just as government has complained bitterly about the issue of sanctions and some such reasons that they blame for the economy's current state. So in the event that a CCC government is elected, again, what's the guarantee that the Zimbabweans won't get further blame shifting and complaints, just as we have seen from the central government?
Look, when the time we were in government, we didn't blame anyone. You didn't hear us saying there are sanctions, we can't work. We got on with it. So the new government under Advocate Chamisa will get on with it. Work for the benefit of the citizens of Zimbabwe.
And I'm not sure, Honorable Biti, if you are the right person to comment on this issue, or maybe it's for a different office. But I wanted to know, basically, there is this notion that the CCC is not very welcoming to criticism. I'm not sure if you can speak on it, or it's supposed to be for a different office.
You are sitting with me here. If I was intolerant, I wouldn't have tolerated you. So that is something that is so foundationless. A party founded on citizen-centric philosophy can't be against the citizens. That's oxymoronic. It can't happen.
And on your tenure as the current MP for Harare East, are your constituents happy with your performance? Besides Parliament, obviously, I would like to admit a lot of Zimbabweans are impressed by your work. You are outstanding.
That's why I was elected. I'm a member of a parliament, not a council. That's why I was elected, to be in parliament, to discuss national issues. So I do my job excellently.
Right.
That's why I was elected. The answer speaks for itself.
Right.
But I'm not a councillor. So I don't fix pipes and roads. Of course, yes, I've spent my time cleaning litter and so forth, yes, but that's not my primary job as an MP. My primary job as an MP is a chamber. That's why I was elected. That's why we've got councillors to attend to burst pipes and potholes, and MPs to pass laws for the good governance of the country and to hold government and institutions to account. And there, you would have to accept that we've done an excellent job.
Right, perfect. And I'll go on a bit of a personal issue here, Honorable Betty. Whilst you were in the GNU as finance minister, you were very, very, I would say, hawkish or combative in terms of tackling what you saw as corruption within the treasury.
Yes.
And you were very anti
Yes.
Gideon Gono then. But eventually, after the GNU, and it so happened that Gideon Gono went to court on different charges, and then you represented him.
Yeah,
Can you explain?
I'm a human rights lawyer. At the time that I represented Dr. Gono, there was no lawyer in Zimbabwe that was prepared to represent him. Yet legal representation is a constitutional right. So I took that decision because everyone has a right to legal representation. Everyone has a right to legal representation.
To you, in terms of the politics in relation to what you're saying, society, is there no conflict there where what you stand for politically?
Number one, I represent them in civil matters, not in criminal matters. Two, the issues that I represented him for had nothing to do with his tenure in office as governor. There were normal commercial issues.
And as we close, if you were to give a frank assessment of the current government from 2017 up until now, what would you say?
A disaster. I think Mutuli Ngube has been the worst minister of finance since the invention of the word minister of finance. Total disaster. He makes Chinamasa looks like a genius, but Chinamasa is no genius. He's a professor of economics, but the way he has butchered economics is terrible. Just take the concept of the blended inflation. Inflation is the measurement of the price of good measured in one currency. Yet he seeks to create unprecedented a rate of blended inflation, mixing a rate calculated in US dollars, a rate calculated in RTGS. It has never been done. And to imagine that is a professor of economics is unbelievable. Look at the exchange rates. I'm talking to you right now. The exchange rate is 1:4,000. Right. By the end of the week, not even by the end of the month, it will be 1:6,000. So he's a complete failure. And part of his problem is that he's valueless, he's clueless, and he doesn't have a sternum. He's not strong enough to say no to the shenanigans happening above him. You know, my greatest disappointment with him is that the Minister of Finance is a gatekeeper. Right. The Minister of Finance looks after the rules. Right. The Minister of Finance makes sure chikwama cha baba chachengetedzwa, chikwama cha maiyo chachengetedzwa. It is the gatekeeper. It is the gatekeeper. So it's an oversight ministry. It's a regulatory ministry. It's given so much powers in terms of the Public Finance Management Act. Right. But you now have Mutuli Ngube, who has converted the gatekeeper into a gate crusher. He is crushing directly all rules that were designed, that he designed, which are in the Public Finance Management system. So to me, he's a complete disaster. And he epitomizes this government. The economy epitomizes this government.
Right. And last question, Honorable Betty, referring back again to the GNU era. There was talk, particularly from the ZANU-PF end, that whilst you were finance minister, you seemed to be good, but you did not fund agriculture as they normally would. What you say on that?
If you've done your research, go back to your research. We funded agriculture during the tenure of the GNU at a cost of about $6 billion in total. That's why in 2012 we had strategic grain reserves of 500,000 metric tons, which has never been done in this country. We never imported food during the 4.5 years of the GNU. We never imported food, notwithstanding that we had a drought in 2011, 2012 agricultural season, because we put our money where our mouth was, and we funded agriculture. But we moved away from a culture of extraction, a culture of thing. We refused to set commodity prices and demanded that the market should absorb what is produced by our farmers. That's why we had a record growth in agriculture, is recorded and reflected by our massive growth rate, GDP growth rate figures.
Right. And last question, and we close. Let's say there's an inconclusive election like we had in 2008. Is the CCC as a party prepared to sort of tone down and work with the ruling party in a coalition government?
The people of Zimbabwe are clear. They want change. They want a new consensus. They want a new beginning. The citizen is tired. The people are suffering. So there won't be any ambiguity about the outcome. President Chamisa will be the next president of the Republic of Zimbabwe. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Honorable Biti. Thank you so much, Zimbabwe, for watching. Catch you on the next program.